Hi, this is David Swanson at Democrats.com and AfterDowningstreet.org. We are in the era of the single-digit Congress. This Congress is less popular by every measure than the least popular president and vice president in history, the current ones, and by some measures has descended into the single digits in popularity. This is a Congress that has recently funded the occupation of Iraq well into the next Congress, against the wishes of those who elected this Congress. This is a Congress that is tossing out the Fourth Amendment, and with it another bit of what's left of the pretense that we have the rule of law in this country. We have warrantless, unconstitutional, illegal spying programs begun long before September 11th, 2001, spying programs that even John Ashcroft on his hospital bed would not approve of. Crimes that we do not know the nature or extent of, crimes that Congress has now aided in covering up. And we have a presidential confession to violating the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act, violating the Fourth Amendment, and instructing the telecom companies to commit crimes again that we do not know the extent of. Every single member of Congress, I think, of the House and the Senate, who voted to toss out our Fourth Amendment should be spied on by us. We should not give them a moment's peace. We should watch them at work, in their car, in the supermarket, in their homes. I'm sure there are people with the technological know-how to spy on these people who have removed our Fourth Amendment. And then we come to the question of congressional oversight. And Karl Rove makes a nice... Henry Waxman, chairman of the so-called Government Reform and Oversight Committee, is proposing a bill, which will of course be vetoed and is just for show, just a joke, that would eliminate future Karl Roves, eliminate political campaign operatives working out of the White House at our taxpayer expense. And of course they should be eliminated. But you're going to recognize the criminal nature of this man's whole enterprise, and what are you going to do about it? A year ago, the Senate Judiciary Committee subpoenaed Karl Rove. He laughed. They voted to hold him in contempt, and the full Senate has yet to act. The House Judiciary Committee is just now running through the same scenario, and it's safe to expect the full House will fail to act. Will fail to act on contempt or on inherent contempt, which is a tool through which the Congress could lock Karl Rove up on Capitol Hill and hold its own trial, and through impeachment. Impeachment of the people giving Karl Rove and others their orders. George Bush and Dick Cheney. They're now considering holding Attorney General Mukasey in contempt, who is only in his job because we pushed to impeach Alberto Gonzales. He left town, and they put in his place a man promising to be a Xerox copy of Alberto Gonzales. At some point, if Congress doesn't get serious and get to the top of the pecking order in holding this administration accountable, it's all over. The separation of powers is gone. The rule of law is gone. And that's what's at stake. The precedent we are setting. A precedent that opens the door to dictatorship. But let's talk about this in terms that members of the congressional leadership actually care about. They are hurting their election chances. Yes, the Republicans are incredibly unpopular. Yes, John McCain is behaving more and more like a senile old fool. But if you don't grow spines, Bush and Cheney are not going to sit back. They are going to continue to play offense. And that will include warrantless spying on their political opponents. Who else can it be that they are spying on? And it may be that what they have from warrantless spying on some of their political opponents explains the lack of opposition. It may be that just the telecom money and dumb political calculations explain it, but we don't know that. We do know, however, that Congress is giving the Bush administration a free pass to continue spying without check, without judicial overview of any sort, and that means they will be spying. on their political opponents in the coming months. It also means election fraud. Karl Rove isn't wanted just because people don't like him or he's unpleasant. He's wanted, aside from the outing of a CIA agent, he's wanted, among other things, for having played a role in turning the Justice Department into a branch of the Republican Party, using it to further electoral aims of the Republican Party, including prosecuting on bogus charges Democrats who might have won elections. And we are giving them, through our representatives in Congress, a free pass to continue all sorts of electoral abuse, suppression, and election fraud in the coming elections. The offensive attack in the next 4 months of the Bush administration may also include an attack on Iran. And this is something that Congress is already gearing up for, pushing to pass a resolution to get tough on Iran, to get tough on a non-existent threat that is being played up by an administration that wants to go to war. We've been here before. It's absolutely inexcusable, indefensible, and electorally suicidal. Barack Obama will cheer with at least one hand if the bombs drop on Iran, and he will lose his support. There's an alternative. The alternative is that the Democrats go on the offense. They can use inherent contempt. They can say the Justice Department is not enforcing subpoenas or contempt citations. We will take matters into our own hands as the most important branch of the United States government. We will send the Capitol Police to arrest people like Karl Rove, like Myers, like Bolton, and bring them in and hold hearings and hold trials ourselves. Or they can use impeachment, the power that the Constitution gives them. And it's absolutely crazy to worry about whether they'll succeed in impeachment or whether they'll succeed in a Senate impeachment trial post-impeachment. Most impeachment movements, including that against Gonzalez, have done what they set out to do far short of getting to impeachment. And one thing that putting impeachment back on the table might do would be to force compliance with requests for information, with subpoenas, with contempt citations, and then you bring out even more information. And as you hold these impeachment hearings on torture, on spying, or on simply the refusal to comply with any subpoenas, which not a single member of Congress of either party has been complicit in, which is not the least bit controversial, but is simply stating that we shall have the rule of law. If you do these things, then you force candidate Senator John McCain to discuss at length on the news, on the most popular topic in the news, his multiple positions on torture, which he was against before he was for, on spying, which he is against and for, on the president's responsibility to comply with congressional oversight. There is no way that John McCain could win an election after the top news story being not the bombing of Iran, but the impeachment of Dick Cheney and or George W. Bush. The Democrats would win with a landslide. It's the only thing they care about. How do we get through to them that this is how it would work? Well, go to Democrats.com, go to AfterDowningStreet.org, pick up the tools you find there, and push your representative in Congress, your local media outlets, and your friends and neighbors to make impeachment happen now.
And why act like you care about the troops in Iraq? Cause if you did, you would let them fly back. It's cause of you them planes got hijacked. You also the reason Katrina victims had to die like that. They say you was hesitant, we say you was negligent. It's about time for niggas to impeach the president. Hey. Yeah. Dear presidents.